As usual, welcome to this wonderful session. Wonderful because of your enthusiasm and your eagerness to learn. And as we know, the motto of the platform is to make you fall in love with OET learning. It's a sort of personalized learning experience that we have in this platform. And we want you to fall in love with the whole concept of OET learning. And if you're watching in YouTube, kindly consider subscribing and also give us a thumbs up if you like the work and try to share to your contacts so that we may reach out to many more who are struggling with OET learning. And definitely those who are here, I want to tell you, as there is a restriction on this platform for 100 participants, try to respond in the Facebook page so that we can go live on Facebook. Okay, once you have sufficient members, interactions, you can go on live on Facebook so that everybody can enter. There is no restrictions, even 500 or 1,000 can enter. So look into that. Yes, so that is it. So we get into, let me share the screen and let me know whether you can see my screen. So OET 2.0 professional English test, subtest writing. We are going into the writing skills. So we presume certain things. If there are beginners, don't worry if you don't understand certain things. I have tried to customize both for beginners as well as those who are on the process. So we presume these things. You know what is OET, what are the 4 subtests, why you need to write OET. You are a medical professional or allied health professional. You are interested in having a grade in OET. You love OET, fallen in love with OET. You are present here in the virtual classroom, means your body, mind, soul, everything is here. If you are just attending, doing some other work, please exit so that others can attend. I will give you in the repeat session another chance. You love to be here. That's what our presumption is. And as normal, I tell you, I have highlighted A 450 to 500. So you can focus on that always. Why not E? Yeah, great. Yes, writing subtest, all these things, you know, I'm just flashing over it. Duration 45 minutes, time for reading case notes, 5 minutes, time for writing the letter, 40 minutes. But you can finish within at least by 35 minutes, then you go for a recheck. OET writing assessment criteria, you are aware of it. I have explained in the previous video. If you have not seen, see the writing strategies video. Okay. And you know, the purpose, content, conciseness, and clarity, organization, and style, language, the PCC goal, which I explained. And the purpose is called 03 to 3, content 0 to 7, conciseness and clarity 0 to 7, organization, genre and style, language, all these segments 0 to 7. To have a B, you should have 350 to 440 purposes. You should definitely get a minimum of 2 in the purpose out of 3, and all other criteria you must get a minimum of 5 out of 7 to have a B grade. And this bar also, I have told you these things in the grade B, all those things I don't want to repeat. This bar thing, I just want to draw your attention. That's why I asked you to just go through the previous video and this introduction, introducing and identifying situation, background, assessment, and request. So I'll be presuming these things and I'll be basing myself on that. Okay. Now, how to choose relevant case notes was one of the biggest questions. Hope you have the case notes with you. I'm not going to show you anything here because let's see how it works without showing you. Okay. How do you distinguish? How to choose relevant case notes? How do you distinguish between relevant and irrelevant case notes? Ask yourself 2 questions. Okay. Keyword is relevant. Is this case note relevant to the current situation? Yes or no? Will this case note affect how the reader continues care for the patient? Yes or no? And if answer to both questions, no, it's not relevant. If that is that particular case, any particular case note or case notes is not relevant to the current situation or not does not affect in any way the continued care of the patient, that's not relevant. You should not include. Okay. If answer to either question, one of these questions include yes, if the answer to one of these questions is or either question is yes, or to both the question, the answer is yes, relevant, and you must include in your letter. If you don't include, you'll be penalized. Relevant case notes should be included, and non-relevant case notes should be excluded. And if you write all the irrelevant things, you might be penalized because you might leave out some relevant case notes as well. Okay. What to do with the aspects of past medical history that are either normal or not very important? This is the question that you asked me, some of you asked me in the previous session when I was taking the elimination method. What to do with the aspects of past medical history that are neither normal or nor very important? For example, just imagine I have just marked something just to highlight it. No smoker, no known allergies, no further hair loss, no current medications, no significant medical history, no surgical history, no reported drug use, no pregnancies. Skill is to summarize. Okay, all these things together, you can summarize into the patient's medical history is unremarkable. The patient's medical history is unremarkable. So that is the whole thing you need to do. Maybe below that, there are some relevant things like high smoking, no, smokes 30 cigarettes per day, increased alcohol consumption on weekends, drinks 3 wine glasses at night. Sorry, there's a small mistake. This is not increased, this is below, okay. This is moderate, not high, okay. There's a small mistake over there. Okay, so what to be done with this? So you can write she is a regular smoker, 30 cigarettes per day in bracket, and drinks moderately on weekends. This is how we summarize. Here we have summarized all these irrelevant things into this particular sentence. The patient's medical history is unremarkable. Here smoking and alcohol consumption, which is moderate, is included with a conjunction. It is summarized into she is a regular smoker, in bracket 30 cigarettes per day, and drinks moderately on weekends. Please mute yourself. Distractions will be removed, and next time you will not be admitted, please. So we will summarize those aspects, case notes into she is a regular smoker and drinks moderately on weekends. Okay. Those are the two sentences. I'm just showing you how to summarize. That was one of the main questions being repeated by so many people. Okay. Now, introduction. Okay. Now, task and how to locate it. Now you have your task to expand or elaborate or construct sentences out of case notes. So how can you locate your task or your case notes? Whom you are writing to, please.
Can we write in the bracket when we are writing in the letter?
Definitely. And one caution I want to give you here is, there are things which are not, actually, this letter writing doesn't have a clear format. In the sense, OET officially doesn't recommend a particular format. As I told you in the ISBAR thing, the previously, the internationally accepted communication model among the health professionals is ISBAR. But then even if you use any other format, accepted format, you will not be penalized. So even the sentence structures, there are plenty of sentence structures which you can use. For example, even if you don't write in the brackets, you will not be penalized. It all depends your word. For example, you don't have sufficient material to fill in at least 180 words in the body paragraph, definitely you can write. Otherwise, you can ignore. Bracket is not, bracket in itself is not required. No, the bracket itself says that's not very important. But if you want to stress something, to show that, to show stress some aspect, you can highlight in the brackets as well. There is no penalization for that. And also there are plenty of ways to write a letter, and same thing can be expressed in different modes. And the key is relevance and flexibility. Post 2000 or 2018 September, prior to that, purpose was not given that prominence. But the recent one, the new version of OET, OET 2.0, gives focus on purpose. So what happens, you can write in different ways, but the key is flexibility. If you write in a template, for example, you have to use a letter format, but you cannot use templates. Templates means you are not recommended to by heart the sentences and write in the exam. That you may not score. that easily the examiners can understand. So don't by heart structures, be competent to use sentences. That's why today I'm going to show you how you can construct the things differently. Even a complex sentence, how can it can be constructed in different manner, or a compound sentence. So there is nothing called that you should follow this. I am giving you one of the ways which I feel is the most suitable one. Okay, definitely
Okay.
you can even there are different ways of constructing sentences. Since many of you are struggling with the construction, syntax, the word structure or the word order in a sentence, I thought to give you some basic idea about it. But then that doesn't mean this is the only way. There are many ways that you can express yourself. If you're competent enough, definitely the variety of sentences, different sentence structures, different syntax will definitely give you better position or better grades. Okay, so
All
whom you
right.
are writing?
Thank you, Father.
Welcome. Now, whom you are writing to, or what is their job role or designation? Where do you find it? Writing task. That is the last portion of the case note. If you have your case note in your hand, just circle that portion and write. You have to fill in the whole case note today as you complete this session. Writing task is at the last part of the case note. So the very fact you use your 5 minutes reading time, definitely you are not supposed to write or use your pen during that particular 5 minutes, but then mark in your mind all the relevant aspects. Then definitely when you get the time, when you start writing time, immediately don't go to start writing. First you go to the last page of your answer booklet and make a plan over there. Okay, I'll be explaining it later. So whom you are writing to, what is their job role or designation, you can find in the last portion of the case notes, that is writing task. There you can locate it. What's your role in the patient's care? What's your role? Where do you find it? In the beginning of the case note, soon of the date on top. If you have the case note, circle it and number the first two, the previous one as number 1, this one as number 2. I am just telling you how to move on the case notes, how to select the case notes. So number 2 is on top. So first you went to the last portion, then you came back to the first lines, the initial lines. And what type of letter, purpose of the letter, that is the most important aspect. I tell you, even if you score best in all other 5 segments of the assessment criteria, and if you don't score a 2 in your purpose, you will not be able to reach B. That's happening to many people. They write an excellent letter. The first 1 sentence or 2 sentences, they make a mistake. They will never reach B. And definitely we will think of having a separate session for purpose, which takes time. Please mute. Where do you locate your purpose of the letter? Discharge plan. Most recent information is just above the task. So just above the writing task. Discharge plan, that is the most recent information, it starts from the most recent at the end, then it progresses upwards. And now introduction. Okay. So introduce and identify as per the ISBA. If you have watched this one video, you know it. Okay. And now first one is IPCP. IPC square CP is the acronym I am using. Introduction, what all things should be there? Introduction, how to write it. I'm just giving you an example. So first part is initiation. Second, P is details of the patient. C2 means chief complaint. CC, chief complaint or main issue. And P is purpose. Okay. Initiation, details of the patient, chief complaint, purpose. This comes under introduction or the introduce and identify, the I in this bar. And I'll tell you how it is. Now, introduction. One is initiation. Okay. Initiation. If it is for a referral letter, I am writing to refer. That is called as initiation. If it is a referral letter, I am writing to refer. And details of the patient. P is details of the patient. This Miss Peterson, comma, a 56-year-old single lady. You can just write 56 years old or 56 or date of birth, you can write whatever. But you do repeat it. If you have to repeat the same format. Now I have highlighted here, there is actually no comma required after Miss, and there should be a comma after the name Peterson. 56 year, not years, don't write years, 56 year, hyphen, no space after 56 or before year. This will be very careful, no space here as well, single lady. So that is the details of the patient, okay? And C square, there is C complaints or the main issue. Who was diagnosed with? Who was diagnosed with whatever the disease condition or whatever, okay? And a full stop there. So we will see, I'll show you how to write that sentence. Okay, P is purpose. She requires your advice and management. And purpose, there are people who are writing long paragraph for purpose. The best purpose could be written in one sentence. Okay, the better could be 2 sentences. The good could be 3 sentences. And beyond 3 sentences will be the bad. You got my scale, right? The best one could be in 1 sentence. So purpose is an overview. You are not going to give all the complaints, all the details over there. The first sentence is an overview of your writing this particular letter. What is it for? Then you call the second paragraph, I'll explain later, is the expansion of your purpose. You are explaining the purpose. So don't worry. In the first paragraph, you need not fill in all those details. So purpose is she requires your advice and management. So let's see how to write it. So see the first introduction. I am writing to refer Ms. Roberts, a 56-year-old single lady who was diagnosed with chlamydia trachomatis. Am I right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not very familiar with that word. How do you say that?
Chlamydia trachomatis.
Okay, chlamydia trachomatis. Thank you. Chlamydia trachomatis. She requires your advice and management. This is perfectly fine. I am writing to refer Ms. Roberts, yes, 56-year-old single lady who was diagnosed with the chlamydia trachomatis. She requires your advice and management. That is introduction, step by step. Hope it is
Father, excuse me, Father.
Yes.
Is it okay after details of the patient, we can write the purpose first?
Yeah. Shall we come after the just the briefing? Maybe
Oh,
10
okay.
minutes. We'll
Okay.
just keep a reminder of may I know your name, please.
Yeah, I am Babida, Father.
Babida, yeah, I'll get back
Yeah.
to you. Okay. In the
Okay.
Q&A
Okay,
session.
Father. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Excuse me, Father.
Yes.
Yes, Father. Is in the discharge plan there is home visits, not home visits.
Sorry, I'll get back to you in the Q&A session. Is that all right? After 10 minutes explaining the basic things, because some of your questions will be answered by me in the coming slides.
Okay.
Okay. Many of your questions
Father.
will be answered, so that no repetition is required. Then you definitely can come to me. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Father.
Yeah. Now sentence structure. So I'm basically jumping into sentence structure because many have asked for the particular concern. They have expressed their concern regarding sentence structure. Those who have not muted, please mute. So simple sentence and compound sentence. There are 3 types of sentences, 4 types you can say. One is simple sentence, one is compound sentence, other one is complex sentence. Even you can construct compound complex sentences. But usually you don't need to. If you are not competent enough, better not to try for compound complex sentences for now. If you can express your competency in simple sentence and compound sentence and complex sentences, definitely you will be able to do it. As you have a piece of paper, could you write one simple sentence fast? Let's have 3 minutes interaction. And either you can, if you are comfortable, you can put in the chat box, or you can write on a paper and take a if you are comfortable, don't get disconnected. If you are comfortable handling your phone, using your phone, take an image and send it to my WhatsApp soon. Okay, good. Now give me one compound sentence. That's fine. All of you have done well. Okay, I like to, yes. Now compound sentence, yes, she smokes and drinks alcohol every day. I'm writing a letter with the help of his notes. No. Compound sentence, no, none of these are compound sentences. Sita and Dina playing cricket, no. She smokes as well, drinks alcohol, okay. The patient is complaining of chest pain, so the treatment was initiated to control her pain. Fine. Anybody can try one complex sentence? complex sentence. I'm late to office because I missed bus. I like, okay, complex. However, she required assistance. Complex sentence. She has had hypertension since 2004 now. She has been initiated with physiotherapy, which is to be continued. She is suffering with diabetes and hypertension. She had been feeling unwell before admitted to hospital. Okay, fine. Okay, good. We'll get into it. It's a simple thing. Very easily, I'll teach you how to construct the sentences. So here you see she is a regular smoker. Is a simple sentence. Simple sentence means it has a subject and a verb. Means it can stand by itself. It's a complete sentence by itself. She is a regular smoker. You know, she is the subject, is the verb, a regular smoke, the object. Okay, she drinks moderately on weekends. That's also a sentence. Now, how to make it a compound sentence? Using these two sentences. She is a regular smoker, added or plus she drinks moderately on weekends. You can combine both of these and write she is a regular smoker and drinks moderately on weekends. The repeated she is removed from here and a conjunction is added here. Okay, I'll come back to it later again. See, now you have case note like this. Okay, weight 86 kg, height 157 cm. Peterson concerned about weight gain of 8 kg over last 12 months. How can you convert this into a sentence? Okay, now she has gained 8 kilo over the past 12 months and currently weighs 86 kg. See, she has gained 8 kg over the last is synonym used is past 12 months. And mind all those golden principles, 7 sutras, Sapta Sutras, 7 principles. It has to be applied in all the modules. So when you try with your case notes, if you can find a better word, a synonym, definitely you can use it. That shows your competency in language instead of repeating the same thing in the case note. However, if there is a technical word which is clear given with clarity, definitely you can repeat it here. So this is how you summarize this case note. Okay, this was the question by many people. And I'll be giving you many examples of summarizing. So this is the third one I'm giving you. Yes. All these things, you know, post-operative, as I said, if you have to use some synonymous language, post-operative recovering from after, there are discussions, recovering from a condition and recovering after a surgery. But then even if you write recovering after recovering from a surgery, that will not be penalized. So what I want to tell you here is there are different approaches. The problem is there are a lot of confusion being created because each institute sticks on to a particular expression. And they will say this is wrong or that is wrong. But both are accepted by OET. But then, you know, the competency will be shown when you use the proper thing over there. Other one doesn't make you bad or your score will not be penalized, even if you say recovering from a surgery. But then normally recovering after a surgery, not from. There is a technical hinge over there or a technical skill that you are using. Even if you write recovering from a surgery, you will not be penalized. But what I'm telling, the better options or better competency you can prove. So don't say this is the thing that father has taught, the other one is wrong. It's not the other one is wrong. The better options we are teaching you. Okay, you have the freedom to use any formation of the sentences or any vocabulary that you are comfortable with. And that's what the competency means. It's not that copy somebody else's sentence or expressions or vocabulary. Okay, further care, follow-up care, same palliative care, you know, spice care, all these are synonyms. You can use what I said. You have to use the Sapta Sutras in all the modules. So I am giving you some examples. Was diagnosed, usually for short-term diseases, has been diagnosed, long-term diseases, and continuity of care can be used as ongoing care. And you know, this question mark here, it says he is suspected to have some condition or disease, all those things, you know, those are the basic things. Okay, again, we are jumping into sentence structure that I gave you the need for using your Sapta Sutra. One of them is synonym or synonymous language or paraphrasing. So simple sentence, she has gained 8 kg over the past 12 months. Okay, that's what we formed the sentence here. Please mute. She currently weighs 86 kg. So this is being, we have converted into a compound sentence. That's what I explained. She has gained 8 kg over the past 12 months and currently weighs. So what I told you is later or past or different expressions you can use, synonyms and synonymous. So paragraph structure. Now, you know, we wrote many sentences, but that doesn't make paragraph. Having those sentences, you will not be reaching or addressing the assessment criteria, that is cohesiveness, means the linking or the logical sequencing of the paragraph. Write the sentences together with the help of transitions to make a cohesive paragraph. So the skill of using transitions will show the competency. Now you see here, the patient's medical history is unremarkable. That was a separate sentence when we framed from the case notes, comma, but she has gained 8 kg over the last 12 months. See, we combine those two sentences into one using a conjunction, a contrast expression, but. Apart from that, see transition. Apart from that, she is a regular smoker. If you don't want bracket, you can ignore it, or you can write it. It will not be penalized, but without the brackets also, she is a regular smoker. Gives the meaning, but you know, regular smoker means it can be 30 cigars per day to 20 or to 10 cigars per day. Different things are there. And drinks moderately on weekends. And drinks moderately on weekends. So there is another conjunction being used. Two conjunctions and one transition expression. So this is the competency being expected from you when you summarize. Actually, we had this particular, the patient's medical history is unremarkable as one single sentence when we summarize the case notes. And she has gained 8 kg over the last 12 months was another sentence. But then we combined both of those sentences and made it to one sentence using a conjunction. Apart from that, now the transition expression being used, she is a regular smoker and drinks moderately on weekends. Hope you have understood. That's very clear. So you have a contrast here. Again, Sapta Sutras, conjunction is here. Okay, transition is here. Those three aspects. If at all you don't get the slides, I can run over after the sessions once again to take the screenshots if you need. Okay, don't worry. Perfect. Now sentence structure. Present perfect progressive, or what you call present perfect continuous. Okay, if I'm using progressive, I am accustomed to that expression. Understand it as continuous. What do you say? Present perfect continuous. It's not present perfect progressive. You know, have or has plus been plus ing form of the verb. The gerund ing form of the verb is the structure of present perfect continuous or present perfect progressive. Examples: has been, getting, has been, taking, has been, trying. All these are the has plus been plus ing form of the verb. Getting, taking, trying, seeking, all those things. Okay, present perfect progressive. Just see how it goes. Yes. When to use present perfect progressive? When to use present perfect progressive? That's has been or have been. Repeated action that started in the past and continues to the present. Repeated action that started in the past and present continues to the present. If it goes even further, expected to go even further, it's a routine action, habitual action, you'll be using simple present, not present perfect continuous. If it is a habitual, any habitual actions like smoking, drinking, or habits, then you'll be using simple present. Okay, repeated action that started in the past and continues to the present. It started last year, and it still the present action is being continued, or it is still existing. So that you use present perfect progressive. See, Mr. James has been taking painkillers to manage the pain. So he has been taking painkillers means he was taking and he is taking even now. Action that started in the past and continues to the present. He has been taking painkillers maybe since so many years. Even today, he is taking painkillers. Hope that is clear to you. Starts in the past and continues even to the present. And they have been trying to conceive for the past 12 months. They have been trying. Means they were trying in the past. Even today, they continue to try to conceive. So action in the past, continue to the present. There you use has been or have been. Okay, has been singular and have been plural. That you are sure. I hope you know it. And some have asked since and for, where to use since for a specific time. When you mention a specific time, and for a duration of time. You are not very sure, like, but then when you start a starting time specifically mentioned, you use since 5 p.m., since morning, since Monday, since April, since 1st June, since 2014. Then for 10 minutes, we'll be doing it for 3 hours. I'll be here for 5 days, for 6 months. I'll be here for 2 years, for 30 seconds, whatever. So he has been suffering from migraines since 2010 because there is a starting time, correct, exact, particular, specific starting time. So 2010, he has been suffering from migraines since 2020. And he has been smoking 1 pack of cigarettes per day for the past 10 years. For the past 10 years means the duration is emphasized or highlighted. Whereas when you speak of since, you are focusing on the starting time, initiation of the action, beginning of the action. Whereas when you use for in a sentence, you are stressing on the duration. For how many years, how long, okay? And the since is when did it start? Focus is there. See, they have been trying to conceive for the past 12 months. So the stress is on past duration, 12 months. Not the focus is not when they started. If the focus was on initiation when they started trying, it would have been since. Okay, let's get into the structure a bit. You know, letter structure, if there are beginners or in the case note, you can write. The first part is date, second is address, third is dear or Ray. You can even change the positions. You can write first dear or first Ray. There is no, both are acceptable. Then purpose, purpose expanded. That's very, very important. Purpose and purpose expanded. And then other paragraph, request. Then you have your here body of the letter. You know, the 180 to 200 words is counted from here, the body of the paragraph, not the other details which you copy and paste from the case note. Till here, everything you copy and paste from the case notes. So only this portion is yours and your competency is assessed here. So this is important, where you are not supposed to use templates, but you are supposed to express your feelings in your, with your competency in your choice of language and vocabulary. Okay, your own sentence structures. Try to get competence over that. That is the best part instead of getting into some templates. Okay, then last 9 is sign off. Okay, so let me show you how it is. Address, sorry, you know, the thing is, date is whatever the date given, and date, you know, that don't discuss about the date at all. Date is the day of the examination. Okay, that is on the day of the examination, whichever the day. Don't worry about other dates. There are so many dates of discharge and other admission, everything given there. You need not bother about this particular thing, which you can write on top or after the address, wherever there is an option for that. That's why I said these are all acceptable, but not to confuse, I'm giving you a particular one. First one is date, and there are different ways of using it. And the date is in the first, then address, then you have dear or Ray and dear and Ray. So, you know, dear doctor or dear whatever, the designation or whatever you have to write. Ray is Miss Patricia Stiles, date of birth I told you. You can write 26 years old or 56 years old. Then purpose, purpose expanded, other paragraphs. And again, if you have details, other paragraph, you can write request. As I said, these are 180 to 200 words, the body of the letter. You know, purpose is the introduction. Purpose expanded is the most information, most important information. Other paragraph can be secondary information. Other paragraph, social, family history, if required for the purpose of the letter you write. Then conclusion and sign off. Okay. Now, use of past tense. When describing an event in the past which is resolved, okay, when do you use past tense in your letter is you are describing an event or condition, a disease, a program, or an event, or a problem, that happened in the past and which is already resolved. It's done with. Once you use a past tense in a particular sentence with a disease condition, you can't ask them to continue the care for that. No, don't require any care, continue care for it because it's done with. Mary gave birth 5 weeks ago. The baby has arrived. Mary gave birth 5 weeks ago means the baby has arrived and there have been no antenatal complications from the birth. There is no issue. Baby is happy, mommy is happy. So do you need some other care for them? Let them be happy. Okay. So that shows the event happened in the past and it is resolved. There is no consequence going on. Now with the diagnosed, how do you use? Mary was diagnosed with pneumonia and treated with antibiotics prior to discharge last week. She was diagnosed with pneumonia and treated with antibiotics prior to discharge last week. Pneumonia is now resolved. Do you need to continue the medication? No. The event happened in the past and it is resolved. It is solved. There is no more complications or consequences going on. And when the situation is ongoing but is stable. Third usage of the past tense is when the situation is ongoing but still stable. No, the situation, other than the previous incidents I told you, the situation happened in the past, it's ongoing, but it is stable, stabilized. No extra complications as of now. Diabetes that is well managed with medication. If diabetes is controlled and well managed with the medication, you can use a past tense. Though it has an influence on the present, you can use a past tense because it is stabilized and you don't require any special attention on that particular aspect or the condition of the patient. And the reader need not bother about it. Mary was diagnosed with diabetes in 2008, for which she takes regular medication. Although this patient still has diabetes, I said it has its influence today or consequence. The diagnosis is considered a complete event now that the condition is stabilized. Diagnosis is a complete event that happened in the past and the condition is stabilized. So you can definitely use past tense. Hope that is clear. Now using present perfect. I'm going on these things because many were asking me about the tenses repeatedly. Use of the present perfect with diagnosed. When the condition is unstable. See, past tense was when it's stable. Now the condition is unstable. Now Mary has been diagnosed with asthma and prescribed an inhaler. She will return to the outpatient clinic next month for review of the inhaler's effectiveness. Asthma treatment is still being finalized. Unstable, not resolved. If the inhaler doesn't prove effective, then a different treatment will be considered. So the treatment is in the process. The condition is unstable. It is not stabilized. Still is going on. Then you have to use present perfect tense. When the condition is unstable. Mary has been diagnosed. Okay. When the condition will be news to the reader. The next option when you use using present perfect, when the condition will be news to the reader. When the reader already knows the patient, and so you are telling them something new. You diagnose something different and say new news for them. So then you can definitely use present perfect. Mary was admitted to hospital 3 days ago. She has been diagnosed with unstable angina and requires your follow-up care. Okay, she has been diagnosed with unstable angina and requires your follow-up care. The diagnosis is news to the reader and how they will be involved going forward. Okay, it's a news and they need to get involved or the reader need to get involved in the care of the patient. It is not stabilized. It's not a past event. It has an influence on the present. Has been diagnosed, which means the diagnosis was done, but still it is the treatment and the things or influence of it is going on. Condition is not stabilized. If you have any clarifications, please write down on a piece of paper. Now, next question was common ways to use commas. So I'm going to tell you about the compound and complex sentences in this context, because commas can be used in different ways. One in compound sentences, other way in complex sentences, in introductory phrases, and the transitional phrases. Okay, and also when you list ideas or items, list of ideas and or items. So these are the occasions in OET where you use comma. Compound sentence, complex sentences, introductory phrases, transitional phrases, and also list of ideas or items. So complex sentences. Complex sentence means one independent clause and one dependent clause. Dependent clause cannot stand by itself. The word itself says it depends on another portion of the sentence. But in compound sentence, we saw both the parts of the sentence are independent clauses connected with a conjunction. So definitely both can stand by themselves as sentence. Independent clause contains a verb and is a sentence by itself. I told you in the simple sentence, it contains a verb and stands by itself. First, which clause first? If the independent clause comes first, don't use comma. I'll show you examples. Okay, which clause first? You can write in two ways. That's your competency. Even the complex sentence structure can be different ways. I'm going to give you two ways. There are many ways you can express yourself. Don't say this is the only way. This our mentor has taught this. This should be the way. No, there are many ways. For your competency, as I assessed most of you, that's why we have selected participants today. We have taken this particular customization of the class. So if the independent clause comes first, don't use comma. If the dependent clause comes first, use comma. If the dependent clause, which depends on the later part of the sentence, you have to use a comma after dependent clause. I'll be giving examples for that. We'll look into the illustrations. Okay. Now complex sentences. Which clause first? Treatment will begin after a full diagnosis is made. Independent clause is treatment will begin. So treatment is a subject, will begin is a verb. It's a complete sentence, subject plus verb. And dependent clause is after a full diagnosis is made. After a full diagnosis is made is known as the dependent clause, which depends on this full sentence to exist. Otherwise, it will not make sense. If the independent clause comes first, do not use comma. Okay. If the independent clause comes first, do not use comma. If the dependent clause comes first, use comma. Let's see how. See, if the independent clause comes first, don't use comma. Treatment will begin after a full diagnosis is made. There is no pause in between. If there is a comma, you know there is a pause. Treatment will begin after a full diagnosis is made. So treatment will begin is the independent clause or the sentence by itself. After a full diagnosis is dependent clause. So when you start a complex sentence, this is known as a complex sentence. If you begin with the independent clause, don't use comma after the independent clause. Between the clauses, there is no comma. Independent clause, treatment will begin. Subject verb is a complete sentence. And dependent clause, after a full diagnosis is made. Yes. If the dependent clause comes first, use comma. Let's see how that same sentence can be changed. See, previously we started treatment will begin after a full diagnosis, but now the independent clause comes in the beginning of the sentence. After a full diagnosis is made, treatment will begin. So when you write in your OET letter, try to interchange these structures so that will show your competency in using the language. But then when you put dependent clause in the beginning of the sentence, make sure after the dependent clause, there is a comma here. Use comma. Otherwise, you will be penalized. Dependent clause, after a full diagnosis is made, then you have the comma. Then independent clause, treatment will begin, subject verb. It's a, as I told you, it's a complete sentence by itself. Now, if the dependent clause comes first, don't use comma again. The patient's symptoms aggravated is the independent clause. So no comma after that due to non-compliance with medication. So we don't pause after the aggravated. The patient's symptoms aggravated due to non-compliance with medication. Independent clause, the patient's symptoms aggravated. Dependent clause, due to non-compliance with medication. This due to non-compliance with medication cannot stand by itself. It doesn't have meaning by itself without this independent clause. If the dependent clause comes first, remember to use comma. Otherwise, it doesn't give meaning. Due to non-compliance with medication, the patient's symptoms aggravated. So comma after the dependent clause. So you are using here, earlier you used due to non-compliance with medication, the dependent clause at the end of the sentence. Now you start with the dependent clause and put a comma, then write the independent clause. The patient's symptoms aggravated. Again, do not hesitate to contact me if you require further information. Perfectly all right. But then here, subject you is understood. You do not use here. Independent clause is do not hesitate to contact me, which means you do not hesitate to contact me. You is silent. You need not mention over there. So dependent clause is due to non-compliance. Sorry, that's an independent clause. Sorry, there's a mistake here. Let me check how it is. That was my mistake. Yes. Now, if you require further information, this is the one. Okay, do not hesitate to contact me if you require further information. You do not hesitate to contact me is the independent clause, but we are shifting it here. If you require further information, this should be capital. Do not hesitate to contact me. Do not hesitate to contact me. Then you have to use comma. If you don't use comma, you will be penalized. Okay, that's a grammatical error. This should be capital, I should be capital. If you require further information, do not hesitate to contact me, or do not hesitate to contact me if you require further information. Any one format you can use. Need not worry. You can fix one and use. Those are the templates which can be used. Not the doesn't belong to the body of the sentence. So compound sentence, as I told you once again, I'm telling you, independent clause plus independent clause means a compound sentence. Two independent clauses joined with a comma and a conjunction. Okay, we do not have the patient's records is one independent sentence. The procedure was performed at a different facility, another independent sentence. A comma after the first independent sentence and a conjunction, fanboys, conjunctions, FANBOYS. 7 conjunctions, because the procedure was performed at a different facility. This is a compound sentence. Now the procedure was performed at a different facility. See, I'm taking the later portion of the sentence in the beginning, comma, so we do not have the patient's records, because becomes so. The procedure was performed at a different facility, comma, so we do not have the patient's records. So joined with a comma and a conjunction. Whenever the order of sentences, use comma and conjunction. Whatever the order of sentences. Okay, here it doesn't matter whatever the order of sentence. Earlier you said when you have a different order, like when you use dependent clause in the beginning, you have to use comma, even you have in the complex sentence. And when you are using the independent clause at the initial stage of the sentence, you need not use the comma. Here, be cautious, whatever the order of the sentence, whichever the independent, because both are independent clauses. So you have to use comma and a conjunction and connect it and make a compound sentence. Hope that is clear. Simple sentence, once again, I'm clarifying it, subject, verb, object, SVO order. If you have attended my previous sessions, in the basic sessions, I told you subject, verb, order. And the basic problem with Indian says is all our languages have SOV order, subject, object, verb, order. That's the difficulty with the fluency or challenge with the fluency. We have to translate within our mind and change the structure of the sentence as we translate before we speak out in English. Subject, verb, object, but in your Malayalam or Kannada or Telugu or Tamil, whatever, you have subject, object, verb. I have taught you that. You can go to my previous videos. See, Mr. James was sent to the specialist. Mr. James' subject was sent, verb, to the specialist. The cause of her headaches was unknown. Okay, those are the simple sentence. Compound and independent clause plus independent clause. Okay, here subject, verb, object, or subject and verb is a sentence by itself. Compound sentence, independent clause plus another independent clause added, combined or connected with a comma and a conjunction. Two independent clauses joined with a comma and a conjunction. So the example is, Mr. James was sent to the specialist, comma, because the cause of her headaches was unknown. So these two sentences are combined here and written into one compound sentence. What happens if you write all the simple sentences? They are known as run-on sentences. Run-on sentences, you will not be able to get a good grade or score. That's not actually competency of language. But you can definitely use some simple sentences, some compound sentences, some complex sentences. As of now, I am not going to deal with compound complex sentences. Okay, that is it. Now, if you want to visit any of the slides, let me know. You can just mention which aspect. After that, we'll go into the other aspects. Hope I am audible to you, right?
Yes, yes, Father.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Any
Father.
of the slides, if you want.
Yes,
me to,
Father.
did I make any sense? Let me know. I was a little fast, I know, because we started a little late and I have a program at 12 o'clock. That's why. Another session. Let me.
Yes,
have
Father.
how did you get it? Beginners, somebody can speak out. You can tell me, or others also. Was it okay, or was this known to you?
Yes, Father, it was a wonderful section.
Okay.
And we come to know the basics. From the basics, we could start.
Okay.
Yes, Father, we
basics.
know compound,
Yeah,
compound structure and all.
yes. Now you see, I gave
Compound
you
sentencing.
gave you in a medium way, not very complex thing, not very simple. From simple to moderately competent aspect, where you need not be confused. So you have clear format in your mind. You can construct your sentences. Now, do you need to enter into any of the slides?
Yes, Father. Can you show first slide?
My reverse button is not working in laptop.
Oh,
Okay. I hope I can do this. Sorry for the trouble. There is some corona effect on my laptop. Yes. First slide somewhere. How to choose relevant case notes. See, relevant is the keyword. I tell you, the biggest, the golden words of your writing module could be relevant and flexibility. Relevant and flexibility. Flexibility means you use your own way of expressing. You are able to adapt yourself. Your language competency is for the need. Different patients come with different needs, different conditions, and different vocabulary you have to use. You cannot by heart one sentence and change the patient's name and write the same thing for everybody. So relevant case notes should be chosen. There will be so many irrelevant things. And I told you how to ask the questions. Okay, let me ask yourself two questions. Is this case note relevant to the current situation? Current situation is, for example, diabetes. Okay. And they are giving something which is not at all relevant to that diabetes. Okay. In that case, maybe your diabetes, it's not relevant that he has some homosexual affairs with somebody else, or he is in a homosexual relationship, doesn't have any relation with the diabetes, right? As far as we know now. If they have mentioned in the social history or family history, those things, or his father has married second time, does it affect his diabetes? So is this case note relevant to the current situation, current condition? Does it help? Does it contribute? And the second question is, will this case note affect how the reader continues care for the patient? Your reader, whom you are writing, does it affect the way he is going to continue the care for the patient? It doesn't affect in any way. Then you need not write. So if your answer is yes to one of these questions or both the questions, definitely it's relevant. If to any of these questions your answer is no, then both of the questions, if your answer is no, that is irrelevant. If one is yes, one answer is yes, or both the answers are yes, that is relevant. If both questions you have an answer no, that is irrelevant. You need not include in your letter. And I told you when they are very unimportant, I told you how to summarize the 5, 6 case note, 8, 10 case notes into one sentence, if need be. Okay, if answer to both questions, no, not relevant. If answer to either question, yes, relevant, include in your letter. Did you get it? You want me to explain
yes,
in
Father.
another language?
No, Father. Oh.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Yes. Ask yourself these two questions, whether it is relevant. Being health professionals, you know better than me whether it's relevant or not. That's what I told you in the next slide. No? If you want to write something, if you are not very sure whether relevant or not relevant, should I include or not include? You see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bullet points I put into one small sentence. Patient's medical history is unremarkable. There is nothing remarkable.
Yeah.
Okay. Simply you can take it to a
Yes.
small sentence, so the whole half a page of case note can be put into one sentence. That shows your competency as well. No? Medical history
Yes.
is unremarkable. It means a lot. It speaks volumes. That one small sentence. The reader need not bother about anything about the medical history at all. Okay. Then I
Yes,
told,
Father.
but she is a regular smoker and drinks moderately on weekends. But you can combine. That's what I showed you how to combine these two statements. And here there is only one sentence for the whole this aspect of case note. Okay.
Yes.
And for beginners, you might require a thing with the case note, which I'll be doing soon. Don't worry if you don't understand. I will hold the case note. This is a little advanced, so I thought you will hold the case notes and you will identify. I have given a minimum structure of the sentences for all the occasions, including the example with the case notes. If I take the case notes and drag with the case notes, it will take at least 2 hours. So I don't want it to prolong so much. And otherwise, it is running to 2 hours. Any other slides you need to visit?
Father,
Yes.
Amrita.
Amrita, yes, I'm sorry.
Father,
Amrita is
എനിക്ക്
rocking.
IP-C2P എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ലേ, ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ ഐഡന്റിറ്റി എല്ലാം പറയുന്നത്. ആ C2 എന്താണ്?
C2 എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ചീഫ് കംപ്ലൈന്റ് എന്നുള്ളതിന് ഞാൻ ചുമ്മാ കിട്ടുന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ. അതൊക്കെ നമ്മുടെ ഒരു
Chief
ക്രിയേഷൻ.
complaint.
ചീഫ് കംപ്ലൈന്റ്സ് CC.
അല്ല, C2 കണ്ടപ്പോ ഞാൻ 2 C ഉണ്ടോന്ന് എനിക്ക് ഡൗട്ടായി.
അല്ലല്ല, C ചിന്തിക്കണമെന്നില്ല. C2 ചുമ്മാ കിട്ടുന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ. കംപ്ലൈന്റ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ C എന്ന് ഓർത്താലും മതി. പക്ഷേ വെറും കംപ്ലൈന്റ് അല്ലല്ലോ. മെയിൻ ഒത്തിരി കംപ്ലൈന്റ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. ചീഫ് കംപ്ലൈന്റ് കാണിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് മെയിൻ ഇഷ്യൂ മാത്രം മെൻഷൻ ചെയ്യാവുള്ളൂ എന്ന് കാണിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്. Okay, only the chief complaint, because there will be so many complaints, but only the chief complaint, the most important main issue should be mentioned here. These are not OET, okay? These all acronyms I am using to make it easy for you to understand, so that you don't leave out any aspect of it. IPC means being a lawyer, I can remember easily Indian Penal Code. Okay? So I remember IPCP as Indian Penal Code procedure. IPC means is a law, name of the law. Indian Penal Code, criminal law. So what happens? You can create your own acronyms, okay? Need not be these acronyms. You can create some good words or vulgar words, whatever. Only ultimately you have to remember, visualize in your mind, and as you start your introduction, I, P, C. And when you check out last 5 minutes, you can see whether the I, P is there, P is there, C is there, P is there. Okay?
Okay,
so you can immediately, or you can make it IDCP, if you remember easily, details of the patient. IDCP.
Details.
You can, that's all you can improvise. This is nothing to do with OET at all. This is all our way of teaching personalized learning or experiential learning.
ലിസണിങ്ങിന് ഒരുപാട് ലിസണിങ്ങിന് ഒരുപാട് ഇതുപോലെ ഷോർട്ട് ഫോം ഉണ്ട് നമ്മുടെ വക.
അതൊക്കെ ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ ഷെയർ ചെയ്തു, അപ്പോൾ ബാക്കിയുള്ളവർക്ക് ഉപകാരപ്പെടും. You can share it in the groups, whatever you and your things. Don't worry, Father has not taught this. You can create better ones, because you see, being a lawyer, I sometimes get IPC and all easy to my mind. So it comes that way.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning. Now I have one sec. We have only 5 minutes since I have a session at now what we'll do, you can ask me. If it is a long one, I may not answer. Definitely, I will come back to you with a session. Yeah, you can ask me. Yes.
Christy here, Father.
Christy, yes, Christy.
Is there any? Yeah.
Christy
is there
from
any
Mysore, right?
No, from Dubai.
From Dubai, okay, right, okay.
Is there any do not use words are there, like moreover, furthermore, like that?
It's not like
anything like that.
That's the problem. It is not do not use words in the context. If you can use any word, relevant word, to make yourself effective in communication. There is nothing called you should not, you are allergic to something. In English, no vocabulary is allergic to anything. But medical vocabs. Medical vocabs means health terms, health vocabulary should be used. That's all. Otherwise, you can use anything. But then if you ask me whether I can use this or not, depends on your sentence construction and the previous sentences or your paragraph structure. See, suddenly if you ask, can I use here moreover? Why do you use moreover? I don't know, right? So it depends. Maybe I'll come out with those details again. Now, hope I can slides. You need not require. I can stop sharing, right? Then I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Yes. Now you can. I will just put in gallery view. One sec.